Estevez in those late game situations, and he's done well at times. The games like tonight, what is it that you see out of him that kind of prevent him from doing what you expect?
Well, it comes down to, location of pitches. I think that, tonight with Carlos, facing panic, he's got to, get the ball in the strike zone, first of all, with his good stuff, and make the opposition beat him. I think that's the thing, first of all, that I think all pitchers have to have that mindset that you're going to beat me, I'm not going to beat myself. And tonight, with that one out walk, Carlos put himself behind the 8 ball. So he's got good stuff, right? I saw him pitch 100 miles an hour, and he throws the ball in the upper 90s. He's got a good hard slider. The pitch to Slater wasn't quite located. That was another slider sort of in the middle of the plate, and he, decent piece of hitting. And then to Posey, had him 0-2. Posey's a professional hitter, man. He's a pro, and he'll battle with 2 strikes, which he did. He fouled off a really good slider prior to the base hit, and the base hit, through the right side was just a touch up, with velocity, and Posey got the good part of the bat on it. So, but I think the key to the inning was the walk, right? We've talked about that with a lot of our relievers that, our walk rate is a little bit too high from our bullpen.
Buddy, Jon kind of bounced back after a little bit of a rough start there. What did you see from him tonight?
Well, I think overall, Jon, didn't really have great command of his fastball. Right out of the chute, you could tell that, the 30-plus pitch first inning, wasn't Jon-like. I think the fastball was scattered. It looked as though, he was trying to do a little too much with his fastball once he got into that first inning, and his mechanics got away from him a little bit. So, again, fastball command is imperative for a starting pitcher. To be efficient, you got to locate the ball. And Jon didn't have great command of his fastball. The slider, he spit out a couple good ones as the game went on, but it was more about he looked a little uncomfortable with the fastball.
Sticking with the pitching, Brian Shaw strung together 2 really good performances in a row. What have you liked about that?
Yeah, well, Brian came in with guys on first and second and no outs. Got Crawford hit into a double play ball, which was huge, and then Jeanette with a ground out. Mac made a couple nice plays that inning behind Brian. So again, Brian's been really tough on lefties, and we thought that was a pretty good situation for Brian. But if Brian gets the ball in the strike zone, with his stuff, he's going to have success. So, that worked out. He did his job. He gave us, the rest of the 5th after Jon, gave up the 2 base hits. Had a nice 6th inning, made a couple pitches there. So, Brian did his part, as did Jake. Trace? Okay.
With the Ian Desmond situation in the 8th, was that just a matter of him trying to get in better position?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to, play an aggressive baseball. Watson's slow to the plate. He's a guy that we've identified as a guy that we can run on, in a situation to get a guy in scoring position. So it was just an aggressive play that didn't work out.
Oh, for returns in scoring position tonight, what do you think about the approach?
Well, the overall approach was okay. We've talked about that over the last month or so. We haven't gotten the big hit. Bottom line. We've gotten some base runners out there, but we haven't got the key hit. A number of times over the last month. So, but overall, the approach has been okay. To a man, I mean, we can go back and look at each and every one, and we can critique that. But tonight, I thought it was pretty good.
Hey, buddy, with Jon tonight, you mentioned he was struggling with the fastball command. In that situation there, would you like to see him go more to the slider, perhaps earlier and more frequently?
Well, there's a scouting report that that we have on each and every player, each and every team. It's a fair question at whether to go predominantly slider, but to get the fastball in good spots. We in between innings, we talked about Jon getting back on track, which he did. I think ultimately the backbreaker was the homer to Jeanette. He tried to get that ball down the way, and he threw it sort of middle up and in. So, I mean, that's something that it's a fair question, but overall, a starting pitcher has to command the fastball.
as far as the walks, especially out of the pen, have you noticed anything collectively out of the relievers that they've done that you think is?
You know, nothing really specific, Taylor, that I've noticed. I think that, again, it comes a little bit with, you know, trying to do too much. And late in the game where there's a little bit of stress, a little bit of pressure, you know, guys might try to be too fine or overthrow. I think that was the case with Carlos a little bit tonight. So again, a lot of these fellows are young service time pitchers. There's some that are a little bit, you know, with tenure. But, you know, overall as a group, we got to get the ball in the strike zone.
And this team looking for a spark. Nolan, very aggressive, taking home plate on that. Did that feel like
that was a great play? You know, that was instinctual. You know, watching the play unfold. You know, saw the throw way offline, took Vogt way off home plate. You know, Nolan saw the throw, crept down the line and made a nice baseball play.
Uncomfortable with your fastball. Will you describe what you felt with that pitch and how that impacted the way you were attacking the hitters?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a struggle early on with just finding my stuff. I noticed my line wasn't right, and I was kind of feeling all over the place for a little bit with the fastball. But like towards the end, like we started getting better and better. But I just made that adjustment a little too late. Like the damage was done.
How much does experience play into being able to have a first inning like you did and then finish the way you did?
No, it's just about just being aware of where you're playing and the team we have. You know, our lineup we have. They're capable of doing some serious damage as you seen tonight. Like if we just hold them there, there's no telling what can happen. So I mean, that's just staying in the game, and that's what I had to do tonight. Just stay in the game and go as long as I could, even though you don't really, you know, you're kind of ticked off about what's happened, but just trying to stay in there and keep fighting.
John, you keep looking, as most pitchers do, for consistency from one game to another. And so, what are your mindset when you have a great outing like you did last week, and then you're just not finding the pitch you want this time?
Just don't get discouraged. I mean, it's not like the stuff disappeared and left me or anything like that. I'm just gonna get better at it and find the switch I need to make a little bit sooner.
John, the breaking stuff actually looking pretty good. Can it be even more frustrating when you have that working and you just can't get the fastball over?
Yeah, because it is. I mean, yeah, whenever you're not throwing the fastball well, they're going to sit on the secondary stuff, and it's going to be a little bit easier to hit. And that's what was so frustrating tonight. I had trouble, just getting anything by them. Like it was, they were fouling everything off, and a lot of it had to do with fastball command. So, just trying to be aware of that, and those, that's a small fix, and it can help a lot of other things.
The Jeanette home run, not your best located pitch, but did you think it was going as far as it did?
No, I actually thought he flew out, but he put a good swing on it, I guess.
With the walk there, everybody was saying that more than any of the pitches that got hit, that's what you agree. That's what got you in trouble.
Yeah, every time most of the time the stuff like that happens, that's what it ends up happening. Like we're gonna make them beat us, not hand it to them.
Is it a matter of just kind of finding your command? Did you feel out there in the bullpen like you had it, or did you just eventually kind of find it?
Yeah, felt like I was a little bit off. Like ball was caught and the other one was just running the other way. And like after facing Owen, like slider to see like, okay, the fastball is kind of off, and just go to slider. And I threw first pitch slider to the next guy. I think it was a good pitch. I haven't looked at, but then the next 2 weeks I was single on the slider down. But after that, the fastball was like came back facing Buster, but it is what it is. You can't walk that first guy,
Seemed like your sequence to Buster was actually pretty good for him. He hit a pitcher's pitch, right? You feel like?
Yeah. After throwing the fastball in, and I threw in the slider on the way at 91, I don't know how he didn't swing at it. I'm a pretty good hitter, right? And then I threw it again. He fall off. I'm like, all right. And then I just went, down and away because I figured he was trying to look for a slider. He stayed there. He just threw the hands out. And it's like I said, if you walk the first guy, that stuff is gonna play backwards.